Today at Gadget Class, I'm going to show you how to do all of your hardware upgrades on your 500 series ASUS Transformer Flipbook laptops. This is going to be your TP500LA and LN, your TP550LA and LN, and the Q series from Best Buy that are the Q550 and Q551LN. The only difference between all those models is pretty much the onboard graphics chip, and the Q series has an optical drive bay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to first install a solid state hard drive. This is an 850 EVO from Samsung, one of the best solid state drives you can get in 2015. I'll put a link down in the description for that. And because I do have the Q series here, we're going to use a secondary hard drive caddy with a 2 terabyte Samsung SpinPoint M9T hard drive. So we're going to have 500 gigabyte solid state plus 2 terabyte storage drive. So this is going to be the ultimate performance and file storing media serving machine. If you have the TP series of laptop, you already have a 24 gigabyte solid state drive built in, but you can still get a huge performance increase from upgrading to a large solid state hard drive. That's going to give you quite a performance increase. And finally, I'm going to show you how to upgrade the memory on these laptops as well. So let's take a look at what we're looking at here. Basically, we have 10 screws that hold the back panel on. You're going to need a T5 on a precision screwdriver. If you don't have a good precision screwdriver set, look down in the description. I'll put a link to a really good precision screwdriver set. You can get those on Amazon really cheap. So we're just going to go around and use our T5 bit to unscrew all 10 screws. Alright, now you're going to want some sort of plastic pry tool. I like to use a guitar pick. You can use any kind of plastic pry tool, even a small screwdriver, but I like to use something plastic so that you don't scratch any of the surfaces or contact anything electrical inside. So I like to start down here at this corner. There's a little rubber pad right there. Just stick your guitar pick right in between the rubber pad and the back panel. Stick it in there like that, and then kind of pry it up a little bit. And there's snaps all the way around, and you're just going to take your guitar pick all the way around and just kind of gently pry up. You want a pretty thick guitar pick. Just want to go all the way around. Just be very gentle. Don't try to force it. There we go. This comes off like so. Alright, now we have our basic components here. This is our battery. We're going to unplug that before we touch anything inside. This is our hard drive. This is our optical drive. Now if you have the TP series, you won't have the optical drive right there. And you got, of course, your fan going over to your CPU there. And then under this cover here is our memory. So let's go ahead and start with unplugging the battery, just to make sure we don't have power going to the components while we're working on it. Just pull back that cloth tape there. Just grab the wires and kind of gently wiggle and pull up, like so. Now our battery is disconnected. Now there's no power going to the motherboard at all. We're going to switch over to a Phillips bit on our precision screwdriver. And let's start with the solid state drive. There are 4 screws holding it in. If you're upgrading to a solid state drive and you want to know how to do the software side of it, how to clone your drive or install a fresh clean new system on it, check out my other videos. I'll put some links down in the description to those videos as well. Alright, I have all 4 screws out. Now I'm just going to grab this pull tab here. Just kind of gently pull it straight back and out. And that's our hard drive caddy right there. We'll take our same Phillips screwdriver and we'll unscrew the 4 screws holding it into the caddy. Pull our hard drive out. You can actually put this into an external enclosure and give yourself a 1 terabyte external hard drive if you want. So we're going to put this face up. Just set this face up into the caddy like so. You want to make sure that when you put it in, the connector is lined up right. So that'll be the Samsung logo will be showing up like that. And we'll just put our 4 screws in. You don't have to He-Man these in. You just want them snug. It's not holding a building up or anything. Alright, so now we have the new 500 gigabyte solid state drive installed into the proper hard drive caddy. We're just going to set these 2 tabs kind of right onto their little copper place there. Set the drive down and just kind of gently push it forward into the connector, like so. Then we'll go ahead and reinstall our 4 caddy screws. Caddy corner. Okay, our solid state drive is installed and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and tackle the memory first. That way those of you with the TP series, they don't have to watch the rest of the video with the optical drive. That'll be the goodies for those with the Q series. So get us a pair of forceps or a really fine set of needle nose pliers. Forceps work really well, but you want something to grab these little tiny tabs on each of the 4 corners. And if you don't have anything, I would get something. You don't want to mess this up. Just grab the tab and pull straight up. Be gentle with it. There we go. See if we can get a close-up on those tabs there. That's all that's holding it in there is the friction of those little tabs. So you just set that aside, and here's our memory chip. You do have 4 gigabytes on board, and then you have the capability to go up to 12 gigabytes total. So if you want to max it out, you're going to get an 8 gigabyte chip. You want to make sure you get the 1.35 volt version. g.skill makes their Ripjaws memory. That's pretty good. Crucial has good memory. Mushkin. I'll put a link down below to the best overall value for what you need. But this is the stock chip here. If I were going to go ahead and put in an 8 gigabyte chip, the installation would pretty much be the opposite of what I just did. You're going to line it up so that you got the notch in the right place. You're going to stick the memory in until it stops, and you can't really see the tabs anymore, like that. And then you're just going to gently push down on both corners, and it'll click in place. And that memory would be installed. And then we would go ahead and reinstall our metal protector here, just like an electronic shield. Just want to line it up with the holes. Take your time. You don't have to be in a hurry with this. There we go. That's our memory. Alright. Those of you that have the Q series and you want to look at putting a second hard drive in, we'll go ahead and tackle that now. Most optical drives on laptops, they have one screw holding them in. Sometimes you can access them through the bottom cover, but on this particular series of laptops, you have to open up the back cover. We'll go ahead and unscrew this one screw. Pull out the screw there. And then you've got your two Wi-Fi cables. They kind of get routed along the clip there in the back. You want to make sure you unhook it from this side of the clip right there. And then go ahead and push your drive out. Just push it straight out. There are two little plastic tabs holding it down and to the case. So you're just going to push it straight out like so. And that is our DVD drive. And let's take a look at our new Caddy. Technically the SATA interface does support hot swapping, but it depends on the manufacturer whether they included drivers for hot swapping of the individual drives. It is not generally recommended to hot swap these drives, but if you want to be able to pull your secondary storage drive out and pop your DVD drive back in, I'm actually going to show you how you can do that as well today. For most of you, unless you're really good with computers and you know what you're doing, I would not recommend making it so you can pull this out and put the other one back in. I would go ahead and just put in your secondary hard drive bay and call it a day. But I will include the details on those of you, the details on upgrading this so you can hot swap it. Well, not hot swap it, you're going to want to shut down your computer to swap it and then turn it back on. So, looking at our original DVD drive, you'll see this little bracket here on the back. We're going to need to uninstall that because we're going to have to install that on our new secondary hard drive Caddy. There's two screws there. Pull those out. And you don't want to do what I just did and drop anything on the motherboard. Kind of trying to reach around the camera here. So we're going to, it is going to be installed with the hard drive facing down. So you want to make sure that when you install this, the metal tab part is down like that. And do this without camera in the way. There's one screw. And the other screw. Those are really small screws right there. And I did it backwards. Make sure you don't do it backwards. Wait, did I? No, I did it right. Yeah. Might want to double check yourself there. Now, these hard drive caddies, they are just a little bit thicker than the stock optical drive. And you've got these two plastic tabs, one here and one there. You have to make sure you're really careful when you're putting this in. You don't want to bend or break off those plastic tabs. So we're just going to double check our fit there. Everything looks good. Go ahead and pull it back out. Now, if you want to go ahead and try to do a hot swappable or plug and play sort of thing. You can do what I did. I actually installed a little screw receptacle there. Basically what I did is I took an old PC DIN header off of an old motherboard, and I've got a little old monitor screw pin connection. I basically cut the end off of that connector there, drilled a hole right there, and I hot glued that part in there. So when I want to pull this out, all I have to do is pull off the bezel, screw this into that screw bit there, and then pull the optical drive or the hard drive caddy out. So that'll allow me to pull it out without actually taking the back panel off. I wouldn't recommend that for most people. That's only for the people that really want to be able to hot swap it, and you really want to know what you're doing if you're going to do that. We are going to need the bezel off of our existing CD drive, and to pull that off, what I would recommend doing, you got this flat side over here. I would come over to the other side, the opposite side of that flat part. Let me get a different screwdriver. Just going to stick this down in between the two drives and kind of pry up. That's the best side to do it on because you've got a little pin in there that kind of holds it in place. That little pin kind of locks it in. So I would start on this side over here and just gently pry it up, and it should come off pretty easily. Now we're just going to take the bezel, and if you take a look at the factory bezel, there is a spot right here. I'm going to get that to focus. That spot right there, it does protrude slightly above the surface plane of the bezel, and what I had to do is cut that little piece off. Just get yourself a nice sharp utility knife, and just very, very carefully just cut that flush with the front of the bezel. Otherwise it sticks up and it keeps popping off. But once you cut that part off, it works perfectly. And it even still works on the existing DVD drive, even with that off. That's basically the hole where you stick a pin into the drive to pop the drawer free if you don't have power. So now we're going to take that, and we're just going to insert it into our new hard drive caddy. Straight on, like so. Make sure it snaps all the way down, and that'll slide right in. So let's go ahead and put our new hard drive in there. This is our 2 terabyte M9T drive. Basically with these, all you do is you make sure you take out your little retaining bracket there, and you're just going to set the drive into the tray there and push it forward until it fully meets flush with the front. Then you take your little clip here, clip that in, and then they include 2 screws. Well, actually they include like 4 screws, but you're only going to use 2 of them. Those go in the bottom here. And you don't want to drop them. There's one. And 2. Because there's our 2 terabyte hard drive and our drive caddy. Now what I had to do on this one is I took the 2 Wi-Fi cables and I took some cloth tape. I just cut a little piece of cloth tape. You can get this at Home Depot. It's called a friction tape. Just cut a little piece of that and push these wires over and tape them down. That'll make sure that this little bracket does not contact those wires. So when you push it in, it doesn't even touch those wires. You just pushing it over enough so that it's not even interfacing with that bracket. And that way, when I go and I put my little puller thing in, it just pulls it straight out, and I can pop my optical drive back in. Not something you want to do all the time, but if you find yourself stuck without an optical drive or an external CD drive, it gives you the option. But basically what you have to do is not put that screw back in, and that's why I would not recommend it for everyone. Even though there's quite a bit of friction holding it in there, you got the connector holding it, you got these two tabs holding it, it's pretty tight in there. It would take an awful lot to get it to fall out. You pretty much have to pull it out from a point right about here, which is where I have my little clippy thing. It takes a lot to get it out, but I do not recommend that for everyone. That's just an option. Don't try this at home unless you really, really, really want to. So I'm actually going to leave this screw out. Those of you that aren't going to leave it out, just go ahead and put that screw back in, and we're done. We now have a 500 gigabyte solid state drive, a 2 terabyte secondary hard drive, and if we had upgraded the memory, we would have 12 gigabytes total memory there as well. So now we're just going to reconnect our battery. This just goes straight down. It's kind of a weird clip. Straight down on there, then put your tape back over it like so, and we're good. That's it. Let's put our back panel back on. Set it down and go all the way around. Make sure all the little snappies engage like so. Then we'll put our T5 bit back onto our precision screwdriver. We'll just go around and screw them in. And that's it. You have just upgraded your Transformer Flipbook to be a pretty good all-around performance, gaming, and versatile setup. I mean, it's a good laptop for doing like Photoshop on the flat screen, or browsing the net on the couch. Or even like pretty hardcore gaming and 3D editing. Pretty versatile laptop all around. If you've got the one with the dedicated graphics. The 550LN, even the 500LN, the Q551LN and 551LN, they all have dedicated graphics. And that's what makes this laptop pretty robust and versatile laptop. It doesn't have the greatest screen, but for what it can do, it's worth it, especially if you upgrade the hard drive. Alright, there it is. Let's power it up. How about that? Wasn't that quick? That's what you get with a solid state drive. So be sure to check out the other videos on the actual software part of upgrading the SSD, and all of our other videos as well. Be sure to subscribe to the channel.